Welcome to Actual Fandom. My name is Dane. Before this video, I want to disclose that I am a fan of most Zack Snyder films. I think he's got a terrific and unique style that, given the right material, he's made some super impressive movies. I think he's got some specific flaws that, carry over from movie to movie, but they're, mostly inconsequential in the grand scheme of things, and generally, I enjoy his movies. I actually really loved Zack Snyder's Justice League. That being said, it was revealed recently via Rolling Stone that at least 13, 15, 18% of a lot of the accounts that were tweeting about restoring the Snyderverse, releasing the Snyder Cut, etc., were bots. And that's the headline that got passed around a lot, but within that article, that report, there was some other information that really changed how I see Zack Snyder. First, please subscribe if you're not. And if you're into this type of video, hit the like button. Zack Snyder's always seemed like a good guy to me. Even though there was a chunk of the fandom, the Snyder fandom, that was and still is pretty toxic, pretty online. I've seen them say and do some, astonishingly messed up stuff. But I never counted Zack Snyder as being part of that. There's always a toxic element to fandoms, right? When he denounced geeks and gamers, the respect for that guy only went through the roof in my book. But in this report, we learned a lot of things that, really kind of shine a negative light on him. For one thing, he threatened to destroy producers Jeff Johns and John Berg on social media if their names weren't removed from Zack Snyder's Justice League. Now, whether or not he had a valid complaint there as to whether their names should be on the film or not, I'm not going to pretend to understand how that all works exactly. But the fact that he threatened to destroy them on social media, how is that any different from what people call cancel culture? It's not. Another thing was the same journalist who wrote this article wrote an article a while back, and whenever she reached out to Zack Snyder to get his comment on it, he told her she needed to delete some of the lines from her reporting or his fans were going to harass her. That's a mob tactic. The whole be ashamed if something happened to you, and I just think that's super messed up. I want to disclose too that I think Zack Snyder did get screwed by Warner Brothers in a few different instances. None of that makes some of the things that I've read in this okay. None of it excuses some of these actions and behavior. Another thing that he did was whenever Godzilla vs. Kong was released on HBO Max just within a few days after Zack Snyder's Justice League, and then Snyder fans started bombarding and harassing and trolling Godzilla vs. Kong director Adam Wingard. Adam Wingard reached out to Snyder and said, "Hey, can you call your fan, tell him to chill out a little bit?" And he said no. Zack Snyder just flat out refused. Another filmmaker in the industry, under the same studio, working in a similar genre, kindly asked the guy if he could, make a statement asking his fans to just chill out. And Snyder flat out refused. I think that's super fucked up. There's a whole lot in this report that I'm not going to get into. We talked about it on Matt Jarbo's stream the night that this news broke. We did like a 3.5 hour stream, pretty exhaustive, with RJ and Caden. I'll link that below and up here, so you can go listen to that if you want a much more in-depth analysis of this report. Zack Snyder is a known huge fan of Ayn Rand. Ayn Rand was the author of Atlas Shrugged and the founder of Objectivism. She was a bit of a controversial figure. She amassed a large following in the 1950s and established the principles that would influence many modern conservatives. Ideas like individualism, reason, and selfishness, while opposing socialism, collectivism, and altruism. The popular philosopher lived a life of contradictions. She asserted her reliance on reason over irrationality, and yet at the same time, she said that the links between smoking and cancer were untrue. She viciously opposed programs from the New Deal, Social Security, Medicare, and welfare, and yet hypocritically, she was enrolled in Medicare and Social Security before she died of lung cancer. But Zack Snyder is a huge fan of Ayn Rand and her philosophies. At some point, I think he was wanting to make Atlas Shrugged a movie. Maybe he'll do that eventually. I don't know. Hopefully not. Zack Snyder obviously felt that he was owed his Snyder Cut. He felt that he deserved to be able to do this. He was stealing materials from the studio and working on it privately without their permission. Warner Brothers had to sue him to get those materials back. Keep in mind that he signed a contract with Warner Brothers to make their movie. He was under, a lot of contractual obligations and limitations. Zack Snyder doesn't own the Justice League. Whenever he left the production due to his unfortunate family tragedy, he was no longer owed anything. Now, I am ultimately glad that the Snyder Cut was made. I love it, like I said. But it's obvious that this was a personal, me thing for Zack Snyder after a certain point. Maybe his mental health was, kind of compromised due to his family tragedy and everything else that was going on. I can understand that might have been the case. And yet, the actions that he took over the last couple of years were pretty fucking sinister. Selfish, you might say. So, here's some quotes about selfishness from Zack Snyder's idol, Ayn Rand. Man, every man, is an end in himself, not a means to the ends of others. He must live for his own sake, neither sacrificing himself to others nor sacrificing others to himself. He must work for his rational self-interest, with the achievement of his own happiness as the highest moral purpose in his life. The worst evil you can do, psychologically, is to laugh at yourself. That means spitting in your own face. It's not a very healthy way to look at things. If you can't laugh at yourself, you're probably an uptight, insecure dildo. The question isn't who's going to let me, it's who's going to stop me. Which sounds like something a lot of college frat boys probably think whenever they, go on dates or invite women to their parties. Achievement of your happiness is the only moral purpose of your life, and that happiness, not pain or mindless self-indulgence, is the proof of your moral integrity, since it is the proof and the result of your loyalty to the achievement of your values. Man, that's just some pretty self-centered, kind of sociopathic shit right there. I am not primarily an advocate of capitalism. Oh, not so bad. But wait, she continued. But of egoism. And I am not primarily an advocate of egoism, but of reason. If one recognizes the supremacy of reason and applies it consistently, all the rest follows. So, in her mind, it was reason, ego, money. Real healthy, social outlook right there. To say, I love you, one must first be able to say, I. Alright, that's just fucking intellectual jerk-off shit right there. That means nothing. It's dumb. Wealth is the product of man's capacity to think. No. Wealth, in most cases, is the product of being in the right place at the right time, knowing the right people, being born into wealth. Ask yourself whether the dream of heaven and greatness should be waiting for us in our graves, which is what Christians and such are supposed to think, or whether it should be ours here and now on this earth, which is what conservative Christians actually think. The most important thing you can take from this is that Zack Snyder's kind of a piece of shit. And Ayn Rand was a way bigger piece of shit. And that she was against social programs and helping people, and yet she died on Medicare and Social Security. These people are always hypocrites. This is a deranged outlook on life. And I'm glad that Zack Snyder is not going to be able to touch some of my most beloved characters from comic books again.